All right, welcome. I am James Elbert Jr., co-founder and CEO of Kabila, with lots of chords today going on here. Apologize for that. Jumping around from one call to the next, a little sloppy. Apologize, but this conversation will not be sloppy. I promise you. So look, co-founder and CEO of Kabila. Kabila is an inclusive co-founding matching app in a community that connects BIPOC and women founders to capital and each other. Have some amazing things coming up with Kabila. Other than this conversation today with a super special guest. Next week, we are doing an event, a virtual online event. Virtual online, redundant, I know. Sorry. A virtual event for overlooked founders. We're going to help you get connected to alternative sources of capital beyond VC and teach you how to improve your fundraising skills. We have some incredible topics, incredible speakers. We're paying for mental therapy for 20 guests of the event attendees. You get a chance to role play with David Cohn, Techstars co-founder, to understand how to overcome investor objections. Just AWS is coming. It's really, really going to be super, super fire. Connect you with some angel investors, understand how to interpret some of these angel investor, the jargon. Really, really good. So you can go to joinkabila.com to learn more about that. So that's enough about that. Today, I have my super special friend here in the building. What's up, Aly in the ATL from Atlanta Tech Village? What's up?
Hey, James, bringing the energy this morning. Listen. I do not have chords, but I'm going to try to bring the energy. Okay?
I got all the chords and chords to sit over here. Apologies. It would have been cleaned up, but we were having some issues when I was adding a little top level.
Live demo. That's what we're here for, right?
That's it. We are here. So look, I'm thrilled that Aly is here. So Aly runs Atlanta Tech Village, which is one of the premier startup communities here in Atlanta. And myself and my co-founder, Caleb, we are members of Atlanta Tech Village. We finished Techstars Austin back in November, and ever since then, we've been members of ATV, and we are just delighted to be members of the community. And I just wanted to talk to Aly a little bit about, from her standpoint, what can we do? What can early stage founders do to thrive in the ATL startup ecosystem? So before we get into that, can you tell everybody, Aly, what Atlanta Tech Village is and why did it start?
Yeah. So first of all, I think runs Atlanta Tech Village may be a strong phrase. I have a really fantastic team who actually do the majority of everything. And I say things like, that sounds great. Let's do that. That's mostly my role here. Sometimes I get to do fancy things like this, and sometimes I sweep the coffee shop floors. It really depends on the day.
You really do. I see you running around all the time doing all the things.
We have a small team. So on that note, Atlanta Tech Village was started in 2012. It was founded by David Cummings, who is the founder of Pardot, Marketing Automation. And at the time that David was creating Pardot, when he went out for investor money, people were not investing in startups out of Atlanta, much less MarTech startups out of Atlanta. And so he bootstrapped the whole thing and then sold in 2012 to ExactTarget for $95 million, which at the time, I believe, was the largest single founder exit. And directly after that, ExactTarget sold to Salesforce within the next year as well. So David suddenly had $95 million. And instead of buying a small private island and never talking to anyone again, as some of us might do, he took that and bought a building and started creating what he wished he had when he was creating Pardot, which was a place for proprietary tech founders to work together and learn from each other's successes and failures and really be there for each other. So we support just under or just over, depending on the day, 1,300 entrepreneurs. We are the fourth largest tech hub in the US. And that makes up between 200 and 300 companies, depending on how fast they're going, how large they are. Everything from I have an idea on the back of the napkin and I work on Saturday nights to I think our most recent graduating company had 40 seats with us, although 200 people nationally when they graduated.
Wow. That's amazing. All right, everybody out there listening to the sound of my voice on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitter. If you have a question, well, first of all, just drop in the comments so we know you're out there and just let us know where you're listening in from. And if you have questions as we go along, please drop them in the comments and we will do our best to get to everyone's questions. So
yeah, we only have 30 minutes and I'm a talker, so I'm going to try to make this
listen, you too. I can't get me to shut up. Well, once you get me started talking, you can't get me to shut up. All right, so let's talk about the different membership levels before we jump into some of this ATL startup ecosystem stuff. Yeah. What are the different membership levels at ATV?
Absolutely. So we have everything from a community membership, which is you get access to the whole space with the exception, obviously, of private office spaces. If you're a community member, which is kind of like a hot desk, we have a whole community room set aside that's specifically meant for community members to be able to plug in and work together, tables, comfortable seating, community kitchen, things like that. So community membership is like the entry level, gets you in the door. The only thing it doesn't include is a specific mailbox, which is important because some companies need that mailbox number for things like government grants, things like that. So in order to move up to that, you go up to a reserve desk, which gets you your special spot. It's your reserve desk, it's your space, and you also get a mailing address. And then after that, you can move up to offices, which our largest offices in the building are 21 desks. But we have those offices built specifically so you can open the doors in between them and join the offices together as you grow.
Yeah, I love that. And so I don't know if you see Kuhnby popping in here.
Ooh, it can be.
I mean, so this is great because we're talking about how to thrive in the ATL startup ecosystem. You know, Kuhnby is a big part of how you do that with her urbangeeks.com, URBANGEEKZ.com. And Kuhnby, can you just drop in the comments? You just started a new like pre-accelerator program for founders. Can you drop the link in the comments and I will highlight that and just like drop a sentence?
Because she's on my list to highlight that later. So yes.
Yeah. No, absolutely. So I love this is exactly why we're here, right? So Kuhnby, just drop the link to the website and also just like a sentence in the comments. I'll put that up there so people can learn more about that and visit and learn more about the amazing work that you're up to. So I am a community. So Adam, who's Adam? Yeah, Kuhnby is doing amazing things too. Absolutely, right? This is why we're here, to celebrate and amplify the Atlanta startup ecosystem. This is why we're here. So we have a community membership, and not for nothing, Aly, I got to say, like, unless I absolutely need to get like an office, and I'm gonna tell you right now, even if we do get an office, when we get to the point where we need an office, I'm gonna be hanging out in the community room. I love the community room.
It's fun, right? It's a vibe.
It's a vibe. In the serendipity you open up yourself to with all the people flowing through and in and out of that room. Like I've made so many great relationships. I don't know if you didn't see us on Friday, but Keith and I can't forget Keith. He's got this cool startup like Web3 with like cars and stuff, automobiles. Really interesting. We were upstairs like smoking cigars. We're like, want to smoke a cigar? Let's go do it. So we bought cigars for a bunch of the people in the community a couple weeks ago. We were upstairs smoking cigars. We had a little speaker, the disco lights. Right? It's a whole vibe in a whole community. So Kuhnby, here we go. Geeksventures.org. So Kuhnby, can you just drop what is it? Oh, look at Ian Smith listening to you at ATB downstairs. Exactly right.
All right, everything. So we'll get into that. Kuhnby is everything.
Yes. Okay. Right. Exactly. So last comment. So the media platform is urbangeeks.com. Okay. So let's talk about. So let's get back to some of these questions because when you think about the ATL startup ecosystem, you know, what are the key pieces when you start talking about the city, the state, accelerators, community organizations, hubs, grant allocators, and investors? I know that's a lot, but who are some of these key pieces here?
Oh no, I think it's all of those things. I think that's part of what you have to think about is the collaboration and intersection. It's not just tech founders, it's not just investors, it's not just any one thing. It is the city leadership, it is the state leadership. It's all of the disparate hubs that we have in town, which is a huge amount of different focuses that we have going on, everything from blockchain to underrepresented founders all across the board. And I think that it's more important than that part of the discussion is the collaboration aspect, which I definitely will get into more. But I think that the key driver to the fact that we are really trying to work together for the better Metro Atlanta Chamber area. And I use that term intentionally because Metro Atlanta Chamber covers like, I don't know, 16, 17 counties, something enormous. And so people are like, wow. Oh, it's not just ITP.
Well, I'm so glad you said that because there's that stupid song that I just hate. You know what I'm talking about, right?
ITP to OTP. You know, people.
No, I'm not talking about that song. You know, pitting people inside of Atlanta, outside of Atlanta against each other. I'm so glad you said that. Yes, the collaboration.
It's bigger than that, and then it goes into the state, right? So Macon's not far. They have a really wonderful tech scene down there. A lot of innovation is happening, and they do a lot of connectivity to like the gathering spot in town, for example. And so we're very lucky that we have a very fast growing and inclusive collaborative environment that's happening in Atlanta.
That's so good. So here's some more comments here from Adam. Serendipity, perfect word, absolutely. So Coombe, so they have a curriculum and training for Geeks Ventures, a pre-accelerator, and then they have so pre-accelerator geared toward underserved founders. All right, fintech enabled startups. They're doing all the things. You can learn more about that by going here to geekventures.org. So my next question here, I can't believe how fast the time is flying by here.
I know. I told you.
We knew this was going to happen, right? We knew this was going to happen, right? Yes. So who are some of the key folks, organizations that are funding early stage startups? And before you answer that question, I'd like to add a bit of a caveat because, you know, my experience, because the fundraising landscape has changed, the economy shifted a little bit. This year's pre-seed accelerators, last year's seed. Sorry, this year's pre-seed investors, last year's seed investors. So if you're pre-product, pre-revenue, it's going to be harder to get funding in many cases. So if we could, if you know some of the people still doing like super early stuff, you know, who are those people, and then who are the people doing like the more traditional seed state stuff?
I think, you know, I actually have a note here that's like early stage is a tricky delineation
it
to
is.
exactly your point. And things have changed a lot in the last 4 to 5 years of what pre-seed, seed, Series A, and what those are. So I would say when you go out for funding and you're talking to people, I think an important delineation is pre-revenue. That is an important discussion to have. That is also going to depend on what vertical you're in, right? So a health tech or healthcare or biotech is going to look very different than a straight up fintech platform, for example. And so I think knowing kind of what the life cycle of your space needs to look like and what the traditional VC or funding opportunity in those spaces are looking for. But I'm going to do a quick rundown. I try to focus on early. Again, that's a very relative term that's sort of amorphous at this moment in time, and it moves. But for what it's worth, you've got everything from actual events that can come with a non-dilutive check or some equity, things like FinTech South, Tag Top 40, Venture Atlanta, things like that are not only some level of visibility, which is primarily Venture Atlanta, but things like FinTech South come with a non-dilutive equity check.
How much is that?
So for example, Sebastian with Arkham, one of our villagers, picked up FinTech South last year, and I think it was like a $20K check. So nice. Keeping that in mind.
Sebastian holding out. I didn't know.
I know. And worth noting, by the way, that there's a whole lot of military funding that's out there, not specifically for Atlanta startups, but SBIR, STTR is all non-dilutive equity. You do have to jump through some hoops to do the application. But if you have anything that you think might in any way apply to anything that the military or government might do, it is worth looking into that. Okay, we got some angel groups that I was thinking about. Look, this is not, by the way, a comprehensive list. There are way too many of these to get through, but I'm going to try to touch on some that I'm thinking about. Atlanta Technology Angels, Thai Angels, Kiretsu Forum, Black Angel Tech Fund. Those are all really great local angel groups that are interesting to look into, and they all have slightly different areas of specialty. You've got university programs. Emory has Startup Launch. They have the Koisweta Impact Investors Fund. Georgia State's doing their Main Street Entrepreneurs Seed Fund, which, going back to Sebastian Arkham went through that as well. I ran into.
He got money from that too.
Listen, he is everywhere. Okay,
and he raised a WeFunder like $75K on WeFunder.
This is why it's important to really diversify your assets, guys. It's not just about like being in one bank. It's thinking about all the different places you could be picking up funding from. It is work, but it can pay off in non-dilutive equity.
100%.
And then you got some programs, Village Micro Fund, Women's Entrepreneurship Initiative, Invest Atlanta, Geeks Ventures, which is on here. I know, right? She was already on my list. I see you.
And you have my foundation, the Parentpreneur Foundation. We actually have $2,500 grants for 5 Black mompreneurs. We're still celebrating Women's History Month. Like, we're going to announce the winner of that on Friday. You broke up. What'd you say there? You froze. Right? You froze up. What did you say?
I was going to give you a whole. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. I was going to say, I assumed that you would want to give us a nice paragraph on where you guys are with that.
Oh yeah, we're announcing 5 winners on Friday, but you can still apply. So if you go to parentpreneurfoundation.org,
okay.
yeah, parentpreneurfoundation.org, you go to the blog, there's an article with what all that's about. We've given over $120,000 in grants now that since I started that foundation during COVID. So yeah, I guess we're part of the ecosystem too, giving people money. We do.
Yep. All right. And then you got VC firms, right? And there are a ton of these in town, but some top ones that always come to mind: Jump Fund, Nora Mosley Partners, Mosley Ventures, which are two separate things, Collab Capital, 1888 Ventures, Null Ventures, Overline, Circadian, Atlanta Ventures, of course. There are so many things here, and I recommend starting with the Startup Atlanta Ecosystem Guide because it will give you links to and directionality about all of the different funds in town. Startupatlanta.com. There you go, James. There you are with my little widget.
On it.
An entire comprehensive ecosystem guide, which goes through places, people, funds, all sorts of programs. Events. I strongly recommend starting there.
You have a good calendar there of events where it's collaborative, right?
Yes. So the calendar is one of the things I'm going to touch on in one of our later questions. But yes, they have an interactive community calendar. So if you want to know what's going on, start there.
Yeah. So if you're listening to this and the sound of our voices, can you please, if you're on Twitter, LinkedIn, or YouTube, can you please share this? Like, invite your friends to listen to this conversation. They can watch the replay on Twitter and LinkedIn. But if you have friends who are in the Atlanta startup ecosystem or Atlanta startup ecosystem curious, let them know. What'd you say?
Huh? I'm just laughing at your phrasing. Atlanta startup ecosystem curious.
You know I'm ridiculous. So if you're curious about the Atlanta and want to learn more, and you may be thinking about moving here, and you're like, hey, I'm building a startup, but is Atlanta a good place for me to do that? You know, tap in, have them listen to this conversation. All right, a couple more questions for you. So what are some of the programs at ATV? You mentioned a couple of them earlier, but what are some of the programs at ATV to help early stage founders thrive?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the big ones that we talk about a lot is Atlanta Startup Village, which is our bi-monthly pitch event. And so
we did that 2 months ago.
Yes, you did. And you were great. And it's good visibility. It's also good practice, right? Getting up on stage.
Can I say something to that point? I apologize for cutting you off. So my girlfriend and my daughter have me very mindful about not cutting women off. So I'm doing better. Seriously. But what you just said right there is so important. That's why I wanted to put a pin in that. The practice, because when we pitched, it's like what you think you're saying and then what people are actually hearing, those sometimes are two different things. And to be able to uncover that in a quote unquote low stakes environment with a friendly crowd, is super valuable. So please continue. Sorry.
No, it's fine. You're completely correct. It's a little bit like being able to get up there with a supportive audience where if you're going to do a live demo, they're going to back you on it. I've had people get up there and their tech suddenly, despite testing, it didn't work. They are supportive people. So, so Startup Village, which you can apply for, all the contact information is on the meetup. It's currently run by Christian Ross, one of our founders of Happy Talks in the Village. And she shares the MC hosting duties with Kristen Slink, who runs Tech AF. So for what it's worth, two badass women that you can watch run the stage, and they support 4 to 5 startup founders every other month on, I think, usually the last Monday of the month.
100%.
It Takes a Village Pre-Accelerator, which is one of the programs that Atlanta Tech Village does. We're on, I believe, cohort number 11. We do 2 cohorts a year. They are focused on underrepresented founders, women founders. We take 8 to 10 people through that cohort. It is meant to be just past, I've got a product ideation sort of stage, but can be pre-revenue. And it's meant to sort of help you start fleshing out what's your business model, what's your go-to-market strategy, get your pitch deck together. We do 4 months of boot camp with a bunch of industry experts. And then we do a big demo day at the end and get you some visibility. And depending on who our sponsors are for that particular quarter, we have in the past also had some non-dilutive equity that comes out of that.
Oh, that's so good. I love that.
It's a really great program. And a lot of our founders from that program stay on as villagers as well, which is super important to us too, is to help build that community of founders. And that kind of rolls into the programming, right? That we do everything from capital conversations here at the village to village workshops. We try and address any questions that are top of mind, things that we hear regularly. Capital conversations is really meant to address not just VC funding, but like funding across the board. What are all the different ways to do that? And we bring in different people in those spaces, IP attorneys, finance people, VCs, all sorts of different angel investors, so you can actually talk to them. And then we have a mentors and advisors program. We have about 55 mentors and advisors in different subject matter areas. We have a cohort that opens for that every 6 months. So our next cohort will open in April going into May and then kick off in June. And we have some mentors and advisors that have been with us the whole time. And then we have some that like rotate, sometimes it's a bit more of a commit than you think you're going to take. But we just ask that they show up 2 hours a month to our mentor and advisor office hours, which are Fridays from 10 to noon, right before startup chowdown.
Yes. So what is the chowdown real quick? Because I was going to ask
you. So it used to be weekly pre-pandemic. Right now it's every other week, but every other week we basically buy lunch for everybody in the village, and we want everybody to come out and sit with each other. That serendipitous interaction that you mentioned earlier, that Adam shouted out. We want everybody to be able to come together, talk to each other, meet each other, and have some of those serendipitous things happen. For example, some of our founders in the village met each other at things like Startup Chowdown and actually ended up co-founding together. And now they're all the better for it because they're bringing two different sets of strengths there.
That's what's up.
I've got a question in there that says, where do I sign up for this amazing opportunity? AtlantaTechVillage.com, and then go to the events tab. All of our upcoming events are put on there. You can also find them at the Startup Atlanta community calendar at startupatlanta.com/events. Yep. And all of our events are through their calendar as well.
100%. So let's talk about, so we've been talking a lot about Atlanta Tech Village. Can we talk a little bit about some of the other community hubs around town where people can gather with other like-minded individuals? What are some of the other places you want to highlight?
Oh, look. Okay. So there's a ton, but there's if you will, of those of us who are trying to do a lot of collaboration together. We started it last year with a thing called ATL Unlocked, where there were 5 of us initially. There's 7 this year, as we are intentionally building trust and relationships and unlocking the doors between the different spaces in town. Mm-hmm. Atlanta is a very diverse space, and it's also very spread apart geographically. Most cities our size, with an innovation center our size, all of their innovation hubs are within a mile of each other. And there's legitimately no way to do that in Atlanta. If you're in Kennesaw, you're not going to make it all the way downtown, right? Nope. So we've got ATDC at Georgia Tech, which is in Midtown, obviously Atlanta Tech Village and Buckhead. We've got Tech Alpharetta, which is exactly where it sounds like.
Down the street from my house.
Yeah. Atlanta Tech Park, which is in Peachtree Corners.
I don't know that one.
Yeah, so they have autonomous vehicles. They have autonomous vehicles. You should go check them out. They are doing really cool stuff.
That's not too far from me. I should connect with them. Okay.
This is why I like to talk about it. You've got the Russell Center, which is just south of downtown and is actually very close to the Gathering Spot, which is another one. The Atlanta Blockchain Center is next to us up here in Buckhead. You've got the Lola, which is for female presenting people for a safe space there, and they're next to Ponce City Market. There's a ton going on in town.
Well, you have Switchyard too. Switchyard.
Yes. Switchyards is one of my favorite places. So I've had a Switchyards membership for years since they had their first location downtown. Michael Tavani, if you're listening to this, you promised us a rooftop party with a brick with our name on it, and I never saw that. I'm just going to keep throwing that out there.
Can somebody please tag Michael Tavani on this LinkedIn post?
He knows. I make fun of him about it constantly. So Switchyards started downtown, and now they are considered. They're a neighborhood work club is how they frame themselves.
That's where I met you in person,
Yeah.
At the consumer show when I was pitching my first startup, We Montage downtown. I just moved to Atlanta. We met in person there.
And this is one of the things I want to talk about too, is why going to events is important. But yeah, Switchyards now has, I think they're getting ready to open their 8th location in the city. They're going rapidly, but basically it's a great space to, if you want to get out of your house, but you don't want a full on co-working space. They're a wonderful coffee shop. They have lots of tiny lamps, which sounds funny until you get in there and you're like, I get that.
I love the Buckhead location because I have a membership there too through my foundation.
Yeah.
It's a really great space over here in Buckhead. It's so like you would not expect it. It's like, wait, what?
Exactly. There's so cool. many, and so I want to go back to the consumer show, which is an event that unfortunately Switcharge is not currently running, but it was a monthly pitch event specifically focused on consumer and design focused startups as opposed to tech, which a lot of us focus on here. Events are really important to that community collaboration piece. You got to go, you have to show up, you have to talk to people, you start meeting some people, you start building up a support network. And that's really Atlanta's superpower, is this collaboration and community and support that we do here.
Mm-hmm.
So side hustle for that.
It's true. So in the last couple of minutes, I have a question. I want you to look into your crystal ball.
Oh God.
How do you see the Atlanta startup ecosystem evolving in the next 5 years, and what role will ATV play in it?
My goal is to have Atlanta be consistently a world-class innovation ecosystem support center. So driven by collaboration across startups, founders, investors, but also not just tech, but film, media, music, more. Food. Atlanta is certainly a food capital. There are many things we could be doing with what we've got here. And I hope ATV is a staunch supporting pillar of this, but I'm very much a rising tide raises all ships. And look, we've got Donnie Beamer coming into the mayor's office. He's the new tech czar. I think he has a real title, like senior tech advisor.
I met him on Friday. I got his card. I need to email him.
Yeah, he was up at the Village. It's much more fun to call him the tech czar. We've got the nightlife mayor. Metro Atlanta Chamber just hired a director of innovation whose whole focus is the scene, Elizabeth Snively. Like we have so much happening, and Startup Atlanta is driving a huge amount of this because they're very industry agnostic. Their whole goal is rising tide raises all ships for Atlanta. Yeah. So strong push for all of that.
So listen.
Wait. One more thing. I have to do a quick shout out.
Wait, there's more.
There's more. I also want to mention TEDx. So Jackie Chu has been driving TEDx, originally Peachtree, TEDx Atlanta, then TEDx Women. Now, because of Jackie's extremely strong efforts, and I strongly recommend going to all of those events, TED Women International is coming here this coming year for the next 3 years. Amazing. They will be at the Woodruff Arts Center. And so TEDx falls into a really fantastic innovation space as well. Desiree, you just asked about the Atlanta Startup Ecosystem.
So that goes back to what we're talking about.
StartupAtlanta.com has a community calendar that all the hubs are now logging into and putting it in there. So please check out the community calendar. Everybody is allowed to put their events in there. If you have an event, you can put it in there and ask to have it approved.
I did. I just dropped my event, plugged my event right here this morning. I just dropped that in the calendar this morning. We're doing an event for Overlook founders. You can visit joinkabila.com/events to learn more about that. We're connecting you with various accelerators, some angel investors, help you increase your fundraising skills. You know, David Cohn's coming to do his How to Overcome Investor Objections talk. He's the co-founder of Techstars. Really great event. You can register for free there. Really okay. I'm not done yet.
Wait, I was like, are you done? Okay.
No, I wasn't done. All that stuff you talked about, the collaboration, I'm excited about that because, as you know, we are launching our co-founder matching app here in Atlanta, and we need the support of all these different components. So we're going to be meeting about this. Like, how can I plug in strategically and intentionally to make sure that, once we're done, we have all these incredible users, we have all this great data, we have all this capital we raise, and we're just like crushing it. And then we can go spread the good word about Atlanta while we're doing all that. I'm done. Good.
No, it's perfect. I was hoping that you were going to go into the spiel. That's why you stopped. And I was like, wait, James, this is a promotion.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. What do you want me to do? Did I do it right? Because I don't know. What else do you want me to do?
You were. That was nice. I also want to mention, Desiree asked about events. There are two things that I want people to think about. One, we have the Fall Innovation Month that happens. It's anchored by Venture Atlanta. There's a ton going on in the ecosystem, including in the entertainment film industry. Like keep that in mind, and you're going to be seeing a lot of stuff roll out on that. And in end of May, very beginning of June, right after Memorial Day, is Atlanta Tech Week, which is anchored by Render ATL, which is a software engineering conference, and also has a really strong tie-in. The Atlanta Blockchain Center is doing some really cool stuff that week.
And he's in ATV. I see him all the time.
Yes. So keep an eye out for both of those pieces. They are working together, overarching for this, entire Metro Atlanta area. But we do have 2 strong anchor points now, both in the fall with Venture Atlanta and now in the early summer anchored by Render.
I mean, shout out to me for rocking my ATV swag. Can I get some
I
love for
know
that or
you
not?
got it. I
mean,
almost wore that shirt
you
today.
didn't. I mean, you didn't even say anything about my dope ATV swag. Come on, can I get some love for that?
I assume that you're going to have on a dope ATV swag.
Oh, all right, y'all. We're gonna let Aly get back to work. You can find Aly on Twitter at Aly in the ATL. You can find me if you're looking for a co-founder. You can go to joinkabila.com and sign up for our app waitlist. Tap in for our upcoming event for Overlooked Founders. Also visit joinkabila.com if you're looking for an online community that's going to connect BIPOC and women founders to capital and each other. We do great things there. We pay for business legal services. We have a partnership with a large law firm. We pay for founder mental therapy, doing dope stuff. We bring you events like this all the time. So that's what we do. Aly, I'm gonna let you get back to it because I know you get like 20,000 steps on your pedometer every day, right? Because you're always running around that building. So I know you got stuff to do.
Thank you, James. Everybody should check out Kabila and what James is building.
Yes.
And cigar with him here at ATV.
Listen, come through. We're gonna do cigars again probably next week. What's up?
Yep.
Come through. All right, everybody. Just say, hang on one second, Aly. See you later. Bye.
Bye.
All right.